The sun blazed over the Valley of Elah, a place where two great armies stood face to face, the mighty Philistines on one hill and the trembling soldiers of Israel on the other. Between them lay a vast plain, silent and tense, waiting for blood to be spilled. Every morning, the earth trembled with the roar of a single man, a giant named Goliath of Gath. 9 feet tall, his armor gleamed like bronze fire under the sun. His spear was like a weaver's beam, its iron head alone weighing more than a man's arm could lift. His voice thundered across the valley as he mocked Israel's God, his words echoing against the cliffs. "Choose a man to fight me," he bellowed. "If he can strike me down, we will serve you. But if I kill him, you will serve us." 40 days, morning and evening, the same challenge. And not a single man in Israel dared to step forward. Even King Saul, tall and battle-hardened, remained silent in his tent. Fear had chained the hearts of warriors. Faith had vanished from their eyes. But far from the battlefield, in the quiet hills of Bethlehem, a young shepherd boy watched over his father's sheep. His name was David, the youngest of 8 brothers, small in stature, unknown to the world, yet chosen by heaven. His hands, though gentle with lambs, had slain lions and bears that dared touch his flock. His voice, though soft, carried songs that reached the throne of God. He was not a warrior, but he knew the Lord of hosts. One morning, his father Jesse called him and said, "Take these loaves and grain to your brothers at the battlefield. See how they fare, and bring back word." David obeyed. He left his sheep in care and walked toward the Valley of Elah, unaware that destiny awaited him there. As he approached the camp, he heard it the same booming voice of Goliath defying the armies of God. David stopped, his eyes narrowed, his heart burned. "How can this uncircumcised Philistine defy the armies of the living God?" he asked, his voice calm yet fierce. The soldiers around him laughed. "You're just a boy," they said. "This is not your battle." But David's gaze did not waver. "The battle," he whispered, "belongs to the Lord." In that moment, heaven looked upon the valley and smiled, because faith had entered the field. The whispers spread through the camp like wind through dry grass. A shepherd boy wants to fight the giant. Laughter rippled through the soldiers, disbelief coloring every face. Yet the words reached King Saul's tent, and curiosity stirred in his heart. "Bring the boy to me," Saul commanded. When David entered, the king's eyes widened. Before him stood not a warrior, but a youth sunburned from the fields, with a sling on his shoulder and confidence that seemed out of place. But his eyes burned with something no sword could give faith. Saul leaned forward. "You cannot go against this Philistine. You are only a boy, and he has been a warrior since his youth." David bowed his head, yet his voice carried the strength of heaven. "Your servant kept his father's sheep. When a lion came or a bear and took a lamb from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the lamb from its mouth. When it rose against me, I seized it by the beard and killed it. The Lord who delivered me from the lion and the bear will deliver me from this Philistine." Silence filled the tent. Even Saul, mighty and weary, felt something stir within him, a forgotten fire. Finally, he nodded. "Go, and the Lord be with you." He ordered his armor to be brought, the king's own breastplate, helmet, and sword. The armor gleamed, heavy with bronze and glory. They placed it upon David, but it was too large, too heavy. He tried to walk, but each step was burdened by weight not meant for him. He paused and slowly removed it. "I cannot go with these," he said softly. "I have not tested them." Instead, he took only his shepherd's staff, his sling, and walked toward a small brook that ran through the valley. He knelt, and his fingers touched the cool water. From the stream, he chose 5 smooth stones, placing them into his pouch. The sky darkened slightly as the Philistine army roared in laughter from across the valley. To them, it was madness, a boy with no armor, walking toward a giant armed for war. But to heaven, it was faith taking its first step. David began to walk forward, slow, steady, unshaken. The wind blew against him, dust swirling around his feet, and in the distance, the towering figure of Goliath began to move. The ground trembled with each step of the giant. His shadow stretched across the field, swallowing the boy in darkness. When Goliath saw him clearly, he laughed a laugh that echoed like thunder. "Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks?" he roared. He cursed David by his gods and shouted, "Come here, and I will feed your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field." David raised his voice, calm, fierce, and filled with divine fire. "You come to me with sword, spear, and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." And in that moment, heaven itself grew silent, because one shepherd boy had just declared war on fear itself. The battlefield fell silent, a tense, heavy silence before the storm. On one side, the Philistines stood like iron statues, their laughter fading into confusion. On the other, Israel's army held its breath, their hearts trembling between hope and despair. Between them, two figures faced each other. One was a mountain of flesh and armor Goliath, the terror of nations. The other, a boy David, the shepherd who carried no sword, no shield, only faith. Dust swirled as Goliath moved forward, his bronze spear glinting in the sun, his voice a storm of mockery. "I will crush you, boy," he bellowed. "I will break you under my feet." But David didn't flinch. His fingers reached into the pouch, finding the smooth, cold touch of a stone. He placed it in his sling, and his heart whispered, "The Lord is my strength." The world seemed to slow. Even the wind held its breath. Goliath raised his spear, roaring like a beast. David began to run light, swift, fearless. The sling spun through the air, whistling once, twice, three times a song of courage, a hymn of faith. Then release. The stone flew, cutting through the air like lightning from heaven. It struck Goliath right between the eyes. The giant's roar turned to silence. His body froze. The mighty warrior stumbled backward one step, two steps, and then, with a thunderous crash, Goliath fell face down upon the earth. The ground shook. Dust rose like smoke from a sacrifice, and the shepherd boy stood alone, unmoving, the sling still in his hand, his eyes fixed on the fallen giant. Israel gasped. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then a shout broke from the soldiers, one voice, then another, until the entire valley echoed with triumph. "The giant is fallen!" David walked forward, calm, certain. He took Goliath's massive sword, the weapon meant to destroy him, and raised it high. With one swift motion, he ended the battle. The sun broke through the clouds, casting golden light upon the boy who had faced death, and won. The Philistines trembled in terror. The undefeatable had been defeated. They turned and fled, their war cries now screams of panic. Behind David, the army of Israel erupted in pursuit, shouting the name of the Lord. The valley that once echoed with the taunts of a giant now thundered with the praises of victory. David stood still, breathing deeply, his eyes lifted toward heaven. He was no longer just a shepherd. He was chosen, anointed by courage, sealed by faith. And somewhere in the wind, it felt as though God himself whispered, "This is how giants fall, not by strength nor by sword, but by faith in the living God." The battlefield still trembled with echoes of victory. The dust had not yet settled, but a new name was already rising among the people David. The boy who had come with bread and faith had now brought a nation to its knees in awe. Israel, once paralyzed by fear, now roared with triumph. The valley that once belonged to Goliath's shadow now belonged to the light of God. David stood over the fallen giant, his chest rising with the breath of destiny. Blood and sunlight mingled on the battlefield, but his heart was calm, as if he knew this moment was written long before his birth. When the soldiers lifted him upon their shoulders, the songs began. Saul has slain his thousands, but David his 10,000s. The words soared like fire through the land, reaching the ears of kings, queens, and enemies alike. King Saul watched from a distance, a strange feeling stirring within him, pride mixed with fear. He saw in David not just a boy, but the reflection of something divine, something chosen. In that moment, a shepherd became a symbol. The sling, the stone, and the faith that moved mountains became legend. But David did not seek glory. When he returned to his father's house, he still carried the same humble spirit, the same heart that played songs to God beneath the stars. He was a warrior now, yes, but more than that, he was a worshiper. His harp still sang of the Lord's mercy. His voice still trembled with gratitude. And in quiet nights as he looked at the sky, he whispered, "Who am I, Lord, that you have chosen me?" Yet this victory was not the end, it was only the beginning. Because destiny had placed a crown in his future and a throne in his path. The same boy who once watched sheep in Bethlehem would one day lead the armies of Israel. The same hands that swung a sling would one day write psalms that would echo through eternity. But even kings face new giants, not always of flesh and bone, but of pride, temptation, and sorrow. David's journey was far from over. He would rise, he would fall, and he would rise again, but this day, this victory over Goliath would forever be the heartbeat of his faith. As the sun set over the valley, David looked once more upon the place where the giant fell. The sling hung by his side, silent yet eternal, a reminder that when the world says impossible, faith says, "Watch me." And the heavens seemed to glow brighter that night, as if God himself had painted a new story in the stars. The story of a shepherd boy who believed that no giant was greater than his God.